Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, just depending on where you are. It is Tuesday morning, and I took Monday off and didn't do any recording and just sort of tried to recover and recuperate. I did do a short video, but that was it. You can probably hear in the sound of my voice, I am rough shape Tuesday. I thoroughly enjoyed my weekend, as noted in the video, which I apologize for any of those. I thought that video was too long, just over an hour long on my season 4 video. Wasn't my intent to make the video that long, but I just had so much content. I should have broke it up into 2 videos, but I kept it as one. Anyways, I needed Monday to recover. My body from playing golf hated me. My tumors are on fire, and my hernias are burning, and my body is aching, and I'm tired and sore and paying the price for my fun weekend. And if you ask me, was it worth it? My answer would be yes, absolutely. It was worth it to have that fun time with my family. But now I'm paying the price. Anyhow, I am distracted by a bird that just about flew into my truck. I am getting ready to go to the Ford dealership. I've been having a problem with the nav system in my vehicle, and the radio head unit, I guess is the best way to describe it, malfunctioning. And so I've got to take it into the Ford dealership to have them look at it and hopefully resolve it. This will be the 3rd time I'm taking it to them to try and fix. They have had a master technician look at it 2 times. They've reached out to the Ford dealership itself, and they couldn't seem to figure out how to get it resolved. And now they've got some software update that they want to try, and they want me to come and sit there for another hour or 2 while they do it. So reluctantly, I'm off to the Ford dealership, and we'll take you with us. And just like that, we've made it to the Ford dealership. I am going to go get ready to go in and sit down in a chair and basically put some headphones in and listen to some tunes until my vehicle is ready to go.
Hey, Chris.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, you?
Good.
I'm not
Thank you.
interrupting.
No, I'm filming for a vlog.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris.
How are you?
Not bad, how are you?
Morning. And now we sit and we wait to hopefully have the dash problem repaired. Hello everyone, it's later in the day on Tuesday, back from the Ford dealership. I forgot to comment on how that went, so I just wanted to throw a quick comment in here and say that I did make out pretty good at the Ford dealership. They did get my vehicle fixed. The problem turned out to be the USB switch in my dash where you plug in was faulty, despite their testing saying it was correct. They just swapped it out anyways, and as soon as they did, my problems with my stereo unit and everything all went away, which is wonderful. Funny story though, I find out after the fact, the guy says to me, "Oh, and how'll you be paying for this?" And I looked at him kind of funny. I'm like, paying for it? I said, like, this is all warranty. It's a new truck. And I guess I've hit that 3-year mark, and I'm just over the 100,000 kilometers, so I don't have the warranty anymore. But they never told me that going in. You know, that's kind of funny. You think that would be something that they would say, hey, just so you know, you're now just off warranty. Nope. So it would have been a pretty hefty bill, but it turns out that I have the aftercare service plan. I guess I had ticked a box and subscribed to something when I bought the truck. And it's like a third-party insurance carrier, so I have to pay a deductible. And the stereo unit is fixed through that deductible. So the deductible is only $50, which is good. But the head unit, or the part that needs to be fixed, if it was the head unit, the guy told me it was $800. Can you imagine if I would have had an over $800 bill that I wasn't expecting? Holy Dinah, that would be very unexpected, and my wife would kill me. Anyways, Ford is fixed. I'm very happy to be able to use Android Auto and my proper functions so I can listen to podcasts and stuff when I'm driving out to the lake again. So happy about that. Have a good evening, everyone. Hello, and welcome to a Thursday night in our home. Those of you that have seen my wife in the corners of some of our videos and when we've been out golfing, I'd like to formally introduce my wife. This is Jolene.
Hello.
Jolene has decided to join me for this vlog, and I guess we have some questions here that we're going to ask each other, and it's questions that we polled our kids for. So a few days ago we approached our 5 children and we asked them to come up with some questions that they would like or have always wanted to ask Jolene and I about our lives and about the cancer journey and about really anything that they wanted to know an answer to. And so I've got the list of the questions here, and some of the questions are for me and some of the questions are for Jolene, and even some of the questions are for both of us. So I'm going to get into this list of questions and I'm going to ask away, and we're going to do the very best we can to answer them. Mm-hmm. I know some of these questions are going to be tough and some of these questions are probably going to be fun. And I've got our box of Kleenex out just in case either of us need it, because we do cry in this family. We wear our emotions on our sleeves in this family as we've gone through this 5-year cancer journey. Okay, so we're going to get underway. The first question we have is actually for both of us, so I'm going to ask you first. Yep, I'm going to make you go first.
Okay, that's fine.
My prerogative. Haha. What is one piece of advice you would give all of our kids?
That is easy for me. It's 100% that never forget that family is number one. Because no matter what happens in life, your family will be there for you. At least that's the morals and the values we've instilled in our kids, that family is number one. They'll always be there for you through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Wow, I like that a lot.
That's my answer.
Thank you. Those of you that have seen the gray furry ball in front of us here, jump in if you can see him there or not. I don't know if he's out of the range of the camera or not, but our cat Taco has decided to join us. He's a camera hog, and he is front and center there. So if you see him, that's Taco. Wow, my answer to that question. I think the piece of advice I would give our kids is a little different than Jolene's. And it's in contradiction to my original thought process before being diagnosed with cancer. And that is related to work. I used to tell the kids, work as hard as you can, make as much money as you can, and raise your family with that money and really enjoy life. And man, was I wrong. Because without your health, you really have nothing.
Well,
sorry.
I think we were both workaholics.
We were, yeah. I was definitely working 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, and just grinding, and I thought it was all about making the money. And so my answer to that question is, it's not about making the money. What I would say and I would recommend to our kids is do what makes you happy. I mean, yes, you still have to have enough money to live. I mean, if you're not making rent or you're not making a car payment, you're in trouble. Make enough money so that you can function. But don't make it all about the dollars. Because at the end of the day, if you got a whole bunch of money and you don't have your health, you've got nothing. And that's why I'm thankful that we do have our family, to tie into what you said. So that's my answer to that question. Question number 2. This is a question for me. What does pain look like to me, and how do I deal with it? So I'm going to talk about physical pain right now anyways. And what does that look like to me? It's been quite an eye-opening experience as to what pain actually looks like. I thought I knew what pain looked like. I was an avid gym person, so I lifted a lot of weights and did a lot of powerlifting and stuff. So I was used to pain, tearing muscles and getting hurt and injuries and stuff like that. What I wasn't ready for is the unbelievable nagging pain that cancer can leave a person every single day. So I wake up and I take medication for pain. And I take it in the afternoon and I take it in the evenings, and then the cycle starts all over again the next morning. And that pain medication is really my lifeline. It's the thing that keeps me able to function. And there's been times where we're out in the afternoon and I forget about taking my afternoon medication, and within a couple of hours, that pain, that nagging pain comes back. And for me, it's a burning pain where the tumor is. It's like somebody has taken a lit match and extinguished it on my skin. And that's what it feels like, and it'll burn like that constantly unless I'm managing it through pain management. So that's kind of what pain looks like to me, and how I manage it is through medication. The other thing that I use to manage it, and I'm not afraid to say this, is marijuana. And it's something that my doctor put me onto, and it's helped me reduce some of the pain medications, sleeping medications, and a few other medications that I was taking through this cancer journey. And it's actually done wonders for me, and that shocks me, to be honest with you, but it does work, and it is something that I use. Next question we have here is a question for me again. What is something I miss doing from before my diagnosis? And I kind of alluded to it just a second ago, but I miss recreation. I miss my ability to go to the gym. I used to go to the gym at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would work out for a couple of hours before work, and then I would go to work, and I felt great. I really enjoyed being fit and into fitness, and I played on a couple hockey teams as well, recreational hockey teams, and I really missed that. And when I first made my transition, it was one of the things that actually affected my mental well-being a lot, because I didn't realize what an outlet that was for me to de-stress and to help me cope with things through fitness and exercise. And when I lost the ability to do that, it was a really rough, hard place for me for quite a while.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. We have a question for Jolene. What has been the most difficult part of your journey since I got diagnosed, and how have you overcome that?
The most difficult part of this for me has been having to change our relationship from being his wife and best friend and to caregiver included in that. Going from just having the wife role, partner, best friend, and then bringing in the caregiver where you have to take things over, if it's cooking supper, cleaning the house, caring for his wounds, getting him to treatments and appointments. It's a whole different aspect of marriage. But I think that was one of the hardest things, is becoming a caregiver, especially at the age that we're at, when you're not anticipating that. If you're later in life and you're retired and in your senior years, you kind of anticipate that coming, or it's not as much of a shock. But when you're in your early 40s and then you have to switch into being the caregiver, and not just short term but long term, because we're nearing 5 years, that's very hard. And what was the other half of how I've overcome it?
And how have you overcome it? And maybe you haven't.
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm still in that role.
I think it's morphing and changing as we continue through this journey. Like, I think back to when I was going through chemotherapy, I was like a 90-year-old man. You were taking care of a 90-year-old man, but then I got better as I improved.
So I think, yes, it's changing. And sometimes at this point it's harder, because before, when you were sick, I could do things to help you feel better. I could get you your meds, or change your bandages, or help you with your wounds, or things like that. But now there's very limited to what I can do at this stage, and I can't fix it anymore.
And that's got to be frustrating.
It's very hard. I can't make it better. And I'm just...
And I think that's why it ties into you can't overcome it because
No.
it's evolving and degrading.
It is. And the only way that I'll overcome it is what my therapist said is unfortunately when our journey ends. And that's very hard to accept.
Yeah. Thank you for that answer. The next question is for both of us, so I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
What are some life lessons, advice that you have for the kids?
I think that answer is probably different now than it was 5 years ago, because 5 years ago our kids didn't have families of their own. They didn't have, they all didn't have significant others as they do now. Because I don't know if Chris has said in his previous videos, but when he was first diagnosed, we still had one child living at home. And we didn't have any grandchildren at the time, and they were just starting in their relationship. So my advice then would have been different than it is now. My advice to them now, especially now that we have one of our sons is getting married in a few weeks,
A few months.
No, 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh, is that coming
6
quick?
weeks away.
Holy Diana.
Is biggest advice is your partner in life is who you get to choose, and love and respect and trust are extremely important in that. And when you take those marriage vows, take them very seriously. Like, it's not just a day to party, it's a day where you're committing your life to somebody, to love them and trust them, and that one line in sickness and in health. Because like goes back to, who would have thought at 41 years old you're diagnosed with stage 4 cancer?
Yeah,
So
it's pretty rare.
and we're on our second, we've both been married before, so it's very important to me. And
Wow,
I want
we're giving away all the secrets today.
I want my kids to take it as seriously as I do. So marriage and spending your life with somebody is a huge commitment and a very important one,
Yeah.
and not to be taken lightly.
My thoughts are similar to Jolene's, but a little bit of a different, sort of lane, if you will. Mine, how do I say this? The life lesson that I want my kids to really take away from me is family first. Mm-hmm. To really understand the power of family. Because we were a close family before I got sick. But after I got sick, we were a absolute locked together with a padlock family. We were, it really brought us together. Sometimes sickness can pull you apart. In our case, it brought us together.
Yeah.
And our family really bonded together. And that would be the advice I would give our kids, is to just never forget, don't sweat the small things, and just remember who your family is. And they're the people that will always have your back and should always have your back. And those are the people that you got to remember through good and bad times, that they are the ones that truly have your best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Question for me. What is my favorite childhood memory? I have a couple that I was thinking of, but one of the childhood memories that I really think of fondly is actually with my parents going on road trips. Mm-hmm. And I used to get car sick, so going in the car was brutal for me, but getting to the destination was awesome. And we used to go on long car ride trips to go to other provinces like Edmonton. And we went on, I'll never forget, we went on this one vacation trip where we had to randomly stay overnight somewhere that we weren't expecting to. And we ended up staying at this lodge, and we ended up getting a cancellation of a room or something. Long story short, it was like a $800 a night room in this lodge that had robes and everything. And it was so nice to be pampered, and it was just totally unexpected, unplanned. And it was just one of sometimes the unplanned things are the best vacations you ever have.
Yeah.
And I just remember that with my parents and having this wicked fun vacation that came out of an unplanned oops, if you will. So that's one for me. Here's a question for both of us, so I'll throw it out your way since I just went. What are your thoughts on, she's reading over my shoulder, what are your thoughts on cannabis 15 years ago versus now, or then versus now, because we are in our mid 40s and we are of the age where we grew up in the cannabis is illegal era, and now cannabis is legal. So how do you answer that question?
Well, I think our answers are going to be very different.
Okay.
I'm a self-admitted teenage pothead myself. So as we were raising our teenagers and being a blended family, we had to make sure we had a united front in front of our kids, even if we didn't have a united front behind the scenes. So I was more of I'd rather them be smoking a joint than out drinking and driving. Not many kids, when they're sitting on the couch eating a bag of chips, are driving drunk. So
The munchies.
our kids seen that I was very anti-pot, but in the background, it didn't really bother me that much. But we had to present a united front, and Chris was, his opinion was very different than mine, and I'm sure he'll get into that. So I've always been a supporter of cannabis use or pot use, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. I've never had an issue with it. But now I don't do it, which is odd because all of our kids do. I think a lot of people in the world, especially now that it's legal in Canada, does, which is totally fine. It's no different than having a beer or a glass of wine. But I don't do it. Haven't in a few years now. So that's my opinion. My opinion is kind of the same as what it was 15 years ago, but it's presented differently to our children.
And so I'll dive right into what Jolene was alluding to. I was absolutely anti-pot. Say no to drugs. And our kids, some of our kids when they were growing up, got caught with marijuana, and I came down on them pretty hard and groundings and threw it away and all those things that a typical parent does. And kids, you listening? I was wrong. Dad said it. I was wrong. I will caveat that young children should not do pot.
No, I agree.
Developing brains should not have, alcohol or drugs or anything introduced into them. You have to grow up and have a developed brain before you should be doing those things. So I will stipulate that.
Yeah. Okay.
But since my doctors, of all people, pushed me pretty hard to try pot when I was first going through chemotherapy and going through some of my challenges, and then I had friends that were encouraging me.
I think it was not more so the doctor. I think it was
Well,
other
we went to the seminars that the hospital had put on marijuana.
Seminars, yes.
The hospital was really in a advocate mode for at the time for marijuana use, and then talking about how it was safe and the benefits of it. And this was right on the cusp of when marijuana was becoming legal in Canada.
It was.
So it was tying together.
It does have a lot of benefits for a cancer patient. It stimulates your appetite. It helps with pain, even just to help you sleep so you can get the rest that your body needs.
The reason I started taking it was because I was taking, what do you call them, Ambien? Is that what they're called? The sleeping pill?
You've taken a few, but yes.
I was taking some pretty strong narcotic sleeping pills that they were worried about me becoming not narcotic, but a strong sleeping pill.
Pills, yeah.
That they were getting to the point where I was needing more and more of them to sleep. And that's when my doctor had mentioned to me, have you ever thought about marijuana? And so I reluctantly gave it a try, and you should have seen the shock on, this is 5 years ago now, you should have seen the shock on all my kids' faces when Dad started doing, pot. And the first time that they seen me high and they're looking at me and I'm just, woo!
Okay, but we should caveat this there. The first time one of the kids came to me, it was Christmas Eve at his parents' house, and my daughter Carly, who is Chris's biological daughter, comes to me and she says, "Is Dad high?" And I couldn't lie. And I'm like, yep, Dad's high. Yep, he is high. But it's helping because he's, just had major surgery. It was horrible and it was helping. And
so the kids didn't
They were
know.
actually very helpful and glad to see him using alternative things to so many prescription drugs.
And as I said earlier, to this day I still use it sparingly, but I still use it as a tool for helping me sleep and for helping me reduce some of the other medications that I take. Because it also does a pretty good job at helping with nausea.
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah, you wouldn't have made it through everything without it.
Yeah. Wow, that was a good question. Whew. Okay, this question, we got some questions for Jolene now. Jolene, what support system do you use to help you cope with this cancer journey?
I guess, my support systems have gone in waves, and I guess that's one thing I regret when he was first diagnosed, is to not getting involved with a therapist or support groups. Probably within the last 2 years, I've done more therapy and support groups. However, the one support group that I really liked was unfortunately canceled. And therapy seems to be harder to get through the Cancer Care Foundation here lately. So I guess right now I'm relying basically on my friends and my kids to some extent, mostly my friends. I try and keep that away, not entirely away from my kids, but that's not their job. I'm there to support them. So my friends are a huge support to me. But yeah, I would suggest anybody who's just starting this journey to really reach out and get a good support network through counseling, support groups, friends, family. I don't have a lot of family that I can turn to. That's a whole nother video, but yeah. So my friends, I have 2 very close friends. I did have 3. My one closest friend, who was my biggest support, she sadly passed away a few months ago. So on top of this, I've been dealing from cancer. I've been dealing with the loss of my very best friend as well. And my mother also passed away since Chris was diagnosed from cancer.
It's been a tough go. Yeah.
So I've lost 2 of the most important people in my life so far. So yeah, getting supports has been hard. So I wish I had made it. I wish I had made it more of a priority.
And I agree with everything you said. Having the proper support, whether it be a social worker or a therapist or whatever that looks like to you, online support, there's many avenues of support you can get, and I've tried them all. As it's a tough journey when you're going through and realizing you're going to die. And so there's a lot of support mechanisms out there that I've tried, and I continue to adapt and try new things. One of my biggest support systems is my wife, is you. I mean, you're my rock.
I try.
So you're a huge help to me, and I hope I'm somewhat of a help to you.
You are, but it's not your job. My job is to support you, and I guess that's why you weren't on my list, because
I think it's our job to. I actually think it's our job to support each other. That's part of the marriage vows that you.
I guess that was just a given.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to something a little lighter. Jolene, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
Okay. Even though I'm not a good golfer, if anybody watched the video the other day, I'm not the greatest. I am getting a little better, but I do love it. I really do love golfing. It's something that my dad taught me when I was probably 11 or 12 years old, or attempted to teach me. But I do love it. It's a good release for me. I will often just go golfing by myself after work, or take a couple hours of mental health time and go out on the course in the afternoon. So that's one thing. And the other thing I love doing is I love going antiquing and garage sailing with my friends, and we just wander and look at things, and we make fun of things in the stores. And then I love to cook. So I love cooking for my family.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I love cooking for my family. That's probably almost number one.
So I have to ask this follow-up question, because you've talked about food, and you're a wonderful cook, which you are. You are like one of the best cooks I've ever met in my life. And if that's true, how come you can't grow anything in the garden?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I can't grow anything. I can't. I kept my daughter Victoria bought me a plant. I kept it alive for about 6 years, and then I moved it and it died. I currently have one plant. It's doing okay. It's underneath a grow light to help it. But other than that, no, I can't grow anything.
Jolene and our daughter Carly both started growing pumpkins.
Okay, but Carly had extra pumpkin seedlings, so she gave them to me in hopes that I could grow them.
Right, so Jolene planted her pumpkin, and it started out okay.
It did.
It was growing, and then Carly's and hers, they were sharing photos back and forth, and it was growing at the same rate. And then the curse of Jolene happened, and
just stopped
her pumpkin just stopped and died.
And
Carly's pumpkin is like
Carly's pumpkin patch takes up her whole yard, and mine is like one vine that's all brown and dead, and I can't grow anything. So I rely on the generosity of my neighbors. They bring us tomatoes and cucumbers and all kinds of treasures from their gardens, which is great. So. But plus I have an excuse to go to the farmer's market then with my friends.
And you can't be good at everything.
No, but it's a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of money for a 50-cent cucumber. Just that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then if I buy them at the store, I'm supporting our local business. So it's a win-win all around that I kill everything.
True. That's true. So that's our questions.
Oh, we're done?
Well, we're done. Unless there's anything else you want to go over.
No, that's it's your call, your video. So
that's our questions for this week, and to be honest, that's probably going to wrap up our video for this week. So I would like to thank everyone who has been liking and subscribing to the videos. Our like count and our subscription count is starting to grow, and I'm absolutely shocked there's people out there that want to continue to hear what we have to say. And so thank you to the patrons and the fans who have been clicking the buttons. And if you're interested in hearing more of what we have to say, then please click on the subscribe button. And if you like this video, please click on the likes. It goes a long way for us and our videos. And with that, we're going to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.